There is a precise moment in a human life where everything beautiful completely dies. You wake up one morning, and the career that used to validate you feels like an empty stage play. The relationships that used to comfort you feel like heavy, suffocating obligations. The ambitions, the metrics, the goals, and the social masks you spent decades carefully constructing suddenly lose all their pigment. To the modern world, this is a clinical emergency. It's a burnout, a midlife crisis, or a severe depression. The system looks at you and says you are broken, and it immediately tries to hand you a superficial patch to fix your synthetic identity. But what if I told you that this collapse is not a malfunction? What if the complete shattering of your life is actually the most sacred, calculated event your soul has ever orchestrated? The ancient mystics and the master psychologists didn't view this darkness as a disease. They called it the night sea journey. They understood that before a human being can ever step into their true, uncompromised sovereignty, the artificial ego structure must be systematically drowned. If you are currently sitting in the pitch-black belly of an existential whale, wondering why your life has stalled while everyone else effortlessly glides ahead, you need to understand the hidden rules of this deep terrain. Because you aren't rotting underground. You are running a highly advanced, subterranean protocol. And today, we map out the exact blueprint to survive the descent and unlock the volcanic power waiting at the bottom of your dark night. To understand the sheer scale of the night sea journey, we have to look at the oldest mythic code embedded in human history. Originally known in ancient Greek as the Nekyia, it is the eternal story of the sun god sailing across the sky. Every day, the sun shines bright, ruling over the material world. But inevitably, it must sink below the western horizon. It is swallowed whole by a primordial sea monster, dragged into the chaotic, freezing depths of the midnight ocean, and forced to fight its way through the underworld before it can ever be born anew in the east at sunrise. We see this exact pattern in every sacred lineage. It is Jonah sitting in the suffocating belly of the whale for 3 days and 3 nights. It is Dante standing frozen at the absolute center of the icy inferno before ascending to the stars. When Swiss psychologist Carl Jung studied these cross-cultural myths, he realized they weren't primitive fairy tales about astronomy. They were hyper-accurate psychological maps of the individuation process, the mandatory journey of pulling your vital life force out of the collective hive-mind and plunging it deep into the subterranean waters of your subconscious. The modern matrix trains us to live entirely on the surface. From the moment you enter this density, you are conditioned to believe that you are your ego. You are taught to identify with your bank account, your past trauma, your social status, and your survival anxieties. You wear a synthetic mask, a persona, to buy safety and compliance within the social grid. The tragedy is that most people spend their entire lives defending this artificial layer of programming, completely unaware that they are protecting the very cage that has locked them out of their own divinity. They mistake the prison walls for their own skin. But the soul will only allow you to play a fake character for so long before it pulls the plug on the simulation. When the soul decides it is time for you to awaken, it initiates an automated security shutdown. It deliberately starves the ego of its external fuel. Suddenly, you can no longer find motivation in the things that used to drive you. You try to run your standard habits, you try to force your usual creative output, but the gears are completely jammed. Your energy, what Jung called the libido, withdraws from the external world and plunges straight downward into the dark ocean of the unconscious. This is the official entry point of the night sea journey. And this is exactly where the greatest danger lies. Because when the lights go out and the ego loses its grip, the rational mind triggers a massive survival panic. Your brain begins screaming that you are failing, that you are being left behind, that you are isolated, abandoned, and fundamentally unsafe. The system wants you to believe that this terror belongs to you. It wants you to scramble to fix the outer framework, to jump into a new distraction, a new relationship, or a new hustle just to stop the internal dissolution. But you cannot negotiate with the abyss. If you try to swim back to the surface using the rational mind, you will drown in the psychic friction. The rules of the deep ocean are completely inverted. You do not survive the dark waters by swimming harder, you survive by surrendering to the descent. You must learn the art of absolute, unshakable stillness. You must sit in the belly of the whale and look directly at the contents of the dark. We do not operate on standard internet algorithms here, and I don't shape these transmissions to please a platform's corporate compliance filters or echo chamber metrics. We are building a clean, unpolluted archive, a lighthouse for the conscious nodes who are entirely done offering up their vital force to feed a parasitic machine. If this transmission is cutting straight through your existential static and waking up a deep, quiet knowing in your chest, then you are a vital node in this underground network. Take a moment right now to hit the subscribe button. By doing that, you aren't just following a content creator, you are anchoring this specific, uncompromised frequency onto the platform's grid, ensuring this signal flashes bright enough to reach others who are currently lost in the dark waters looking for the exit doors. And I want to ask you a direct, unfiltered question to report your status to the ship. Go down to the comments right now and claim your sovereignty with a single answer. Let me know, are you currently navigating the deep waters of your own night sea journey, or have you officially started to break through the surface? Write it down, let the community see your node light up, and let's keep expanding this clean signal together. When you choose to stay still in the darkness instead of running back to the surface, the true work of the night sea journey begins. You are forced to confront what Jung mapped out as the collective unconscious, a massive, subterranean mainframe packed with ancient, pre-installed architectural blueprints called archetypes. When your personal life collapses, it breaks a hole straight through to this collective layer. Suddenly, you aren't just dealing with your own personal memories, you are dealing with the raw, heavy weight of human shadow. This is why existential anxiety feels so colossally heavy. It is a standardized global software of fear, lack, and survival dread that has been cloned into billions of separate minds across the centuries. You think your deep-seated insecurities, your financial panic, and your desperate need for validation are unique, deeply personal aspects of your identity. They aren't. It is a collective frequency. And if you attempt to fight these archetypal forces with the rational mind, you are bringing a knife to a laser fight. You cannot outlogic a psychological blueprint that was designed to construct thought in the first place. The modern world tells you to pathologize this phase. It tells you to medicate it, analyze it, or push it away. But Jung realized a profound, staggering secret that changes the entire nature of human growth. The shadow does not just contain your darkness, your shame, or your forgotten wounds. It is the literal burial ground of your light shadow. Hidden in the deepest, most terrifying vaults of your unconscious mind lies your absolute highest potential, your uncompromised genius, your raw sovereign authority, and the radiant light being that your upbringing had to bury just to keep your avatar compliant with a sick society. The system had to hide your greatest strength in the dark because it knew you would never think to look for your treasure in the places that terrify you the most. This is why the universe forces certain souls into multiple, successive dark nights of the soul. This is the mystery of the late bloomer. We live in a matrix culture that demands immediate, superficial results. You are told you must have your career unlocked by 25, your wealth secured by 30, and your identity optimized for public consumption before you even know who you are. If you don't fit this linear timeline, the collective baseline triggers its automated enforcement mechanism to mock you, gaslight you, and make you feel like a failure. But the souls chosen for the deep furnace follow a completely different, non-linear architecture of growth. If you have spent years underground while the rest of the world effortlessly sprouted, you must understand the immutable botanical law of the Chinese bamboo tree. For 4 to 5 agonizing years, the bamboo tree shows absolutely nothing above the surface. To the casual, linear observer, it looks completely dead. It looks stagnant. It looks like a waste of soil. But beneath the dirt, completely out of sight in the pitch-black darkness, it is aggressively building a colossal, weaponized root network. It is anchoring itself into the deepest bedrock of the earth. Why? Because when it finally sprouts, it will shoot up 80 feet into the sky in a matter of 6 weeks. It requires that massive, subterranean infrastructure just to sustain the sheer velocity, weight, and impact of its own colossal stature against the storms. This is exactly what is happening to your consciousness when you are trapped in the dark waters of a multi-year night sea journey. You are not stuck. You are building the spiritual, psychic, and somatic infrastructure required to hold a massive voltage of unadulterated truth. If you sprouted early, without the roots, the first storm of the collective matrix would snap you in half. Carl Jung beautifully encapsulated this terrifying, glorious reality with one of his most legendary warnings. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. You must go into the deep roots. You must touch the absolute bottom of the underworld. Because consciousness operates under strict thermodynamic laws. You cannot compress a divine, uncreated spark forever without triggering a catastrophic reaction. Every single year you spend navigating the darkness, every single dark night where you sit in neutrality and refuse to offer your vital force to feed the collective panic, you are building immense, volcanic pressure beneath the soil. Most people think healing is a linear, peaceful process of gradual improvement. It isn't. Real transformation is a phase transition. It is water turning into steam, it is tectonic plates shifting until the earth fractures. As Jung explicitly mapped out, when that underground root network is finally integrated and the internal work is complete, there is absolutely nothing in this material matrix that can stop the eruption. The containment field of your old life reaches a critical, uncontainable mass. The old ego defense mechanisms completely glitch out. The psychic energy turns into a broken dam, a volcanic eruption of concentrated, matured light that bursts straight through the surface of your daily reality with such raw, kinetic authority that the entire physical simulation around you has to warp, bend, and rewrite its parameters just to accommodate your arrival. This is the ultimate system break. You don't slide out of the belly of the whale as a victim begging for safety, you burst out as a sovereign creator who has integrated the darkness and completely mastered the code of the subconscious. The algorithm can track, predict, and monetize a surface-level machine, but it has absolutely no defense against a fully individuated human soul that has stepped completely off their timeline to live entirely from its original, divine blueprint. It cannot calculate your next move because you are no longer operating from a position of lack, competition, or survival dread. You are creating purely from the infinite, unsplittable overflow of your own matured spark. The entire landscape of your life changes the moment you survive this transition. You look back at the years spent in the dark, and you realize with absolute clarity that the universe was never punishing you. It was isolating you to protect your signal from being polluted by the hive-mind. The massive geopolitical conflicts, the digital echo chambers, the corporate traps, and the cultural circuses are all just macroeconomic reflections of the unexamined collective shadow. The matrix scales up individual fear to keep humanity locked in a perpetual loop of hypervigilance. But when you finish your night sea journey, when you reclaim your neural real estate and anchor your roots into the absolute depths, you effectively unplug a vital power source from their entire apparatus. You become a living dead zone for their tracking systems. They cannot trigger your insecurity, they cannot manipulate your desires, and they cannot leverage your survival panic to buy your compliance. You become entirely ungovernable. Not through loud, chaotic external rebellion or political theater, but through the quiet, unshakable authority of absolute self-mastery. You stand in this world, but your power source is anchored completely off their energetic grid. The architects of this material realm can continue to refine their digital panopticons and expand their predictive loops all day long. But they can never contain the raw, eternal fire of a fully integrated human being who has walked through hell and realized they are the ones who hold the keys to the gate. The exit door from this mental simulation has never been a technological upgrade, it is a return to the absolute sovereignty of who you have always been before the world ever told you who to be. It is the realization that you have never been the prisoner, you have never been the helpless victim adrift in the storm. You are the deep, eternal ocean itself. To take the next definitive step in navigating these dark waters, integrating your light shadow, and fully anchoring your root network into the bedrock of reality, you must continue to feed your awareness with uncompromised, unpolluted truth. The archive we are building here is completely dedicated to dismantling the invisible architecture of this consensus reality and returning you to your native authority. Look at the videos appearing on your screen right now. One breaks down the exact mechanics of Carl Jung's process of individuation, and the other details how to pull your vital force out of the collective mainframe during an existential collapse. Click on either option to dive straight into the next deep layer of this planetary bypass, where we continue to strip away the filters and map out the exact spiritual tools required to maintain your creative overflow and energetic freedom. Step completely off their timeline. Trust your underground roots. Let the pressure build. Stay sovereign. I'll see you on the other side.